Hello, everybody. This is Mike Nelson of the Mike Nelson Show. If you haven't subscribed to the channel already, make sure to subscribe right now. Today, I got the legendary Uli Jon Roth. How you doing today, Uli?
Hi, I'm doing good, thank you. Thanks for
All
having
right.
me.
Yeah. So, of course, right now, Uli, you're on tour right now. How's the tour been going?
It's been going really well. We've now completed three shows, and each of which was quite different, quite challenging, but in the end, they all went well. The audience seems to love it, and that's the most important thing. The shows are not easy to pull off because we're doing literally two shows in one. We're doing the first set is absolutely different from the second. Couldn't be more different because in the first half, I'm on stage alone with a big screen. I've got the orchestra on the screen. I'm playing along with it, talking. It's called The Evening with Uli Jon Roth. And I'm playing some flamenco stuff, etc. Performing new songs that I've written especially for this. And then after the intermission, I'm bringing the full band. And we're doing a rock set, with my earlier material, Scorpions, Electric Sun, etc. So it's not easy to do because the first half is quite complex technically, and we're still learning because every night we have different stages. So we had a couple of technical hiccups, but musically and the inspiration always was there, and the audience was with me 100% on all three shows. That's the most important thing. I was very happy. Yeah.
Let's go back to the beginning. Why did you pick up the guitar, Uli?
Why?
Yeah. Why did you pick
I,
up the
I had
guitar and not? Yeah,
I had to.
you had
I
to.
was born. Yeah, it was destiny. It's destiny. Um, I was surrounded by music at a certain age. My neighbor friend, um, had a band, and I used to drive around with them, and I wanted to be part of it. And the music just drew me in. I started being a Beatles fan before I played, and then yeah, once I got in contact with real instruments, that was it. I started playing the guitar, and then uh, it was like an instant attraction thing. It was very easy for me to learn it. And after a few months, I already had my first gig on stage. I remember that. And it was almost like learning it as if I'd already known it. That's what it felt like. Yeah. And back then we didn't have any tutors, no tuition, no YouTube. You had to figure it out all by yourself. Meaning I listened to long play records. That's what we used to do with turntables. Listen to how does Eric Clapton play this, and I played along with the record after I came home from school. Driving the neighbors crazy. You know?
Now you mentioned Eric Clapton. What about Jimi Hendrix? How important was he in
That
your
came
playing?
slightly later because you
Okay.
said how I started. I didn't start with Jimi Hendrix. I first started with the Blues Breakers, Eric Clapton, Cream. Jimi Hendrix was a little bit later. And then, yeah, he was my main influence for so many years. I learned everything from him. The rhythm playing, I used to really get into that because I was enthralled and fascinated by his musical um, message. And I always felt there was so much more to his playing than just guitar playing. That's the thing that attracted me the most. And that's what I didn't hear with the other players. Most of the other players were playing just cool music, but with Hendrix, there was always like a cosmic element. And when I saw him play when I was a kid, I just turned 14 or whatever. I don't quite remember. January 69. I saw him play in concert in Hamburg, and it was mind blowing, quite literally. the sound was like from hyperspace. The guitar sounded like some superhuman being from space. Those sounds were completely new back then. Nobody sounded like that. No other guitar player sounded like that. And I soaked that up, and I wanted that sound. No, I can still remember it. And that's it.
Now, back in those days, there was a lot of great guitarists from your generation, as we know. Did you guys ever have that sort of like competitive feeling amongst each other? Back in the '70s, was there that, or was that really not there? Were you guys kind of all friends in a way?
I don't quite understand the second part of the language of the question because I'm on the tour bus and it's
Yeah. Oh, I was
moving.
just saying, was there
Now,
some sort of like I guess competition among all the guitarists of your
not
generation? There
that
was so
I
many great ones.
not that I'm aware of. I never felt any competition anywhere. If people feel competition, that's their thing. I didn't. I did. I'm just not thinking that way. I never thought that way. The players before me, there were several that I looked up to. Jan Ackermann was one of them, Jeff Beck, um, but not many because I was very selective. I liked certain ones. Johnny Winter was one of them for a period of time. He was great. And very early on, I got into 10 years after Elvin Lee. He played so fun all the time, and I copied that. That helped with my dexterity. But no competition. I didn't think like that.
So how did you eventually end up on the Scorpions?
Well, it's a long story. I've told it many times. Um, I just uh, originally Michael Schenker was in the band they did an album together, and then Michael left to join UFO, and Rudolph called me up. He said, "I've got a gig lined up, but there's no Michael. Can you do the gig?" I did the gig, and we really clicked. But then the old Scorpions broke apart, and I had a four-piece band called Dawn Road, and I invited Rudolph to come to the rehearsals. So he sat in, and he liked it. And then I said, "We need a singer." He said, "No, Klaus doesn't want to sing anymore. Um, you know, why don't you and why maybe we should be the singers?" And I thought, "You're completely out to lunch. Both of us can't sing. We both suck. You can't do this. Please call Klaus Meine, who had $1 million voice even then." And after a couple of rehearsals, I got through to Rudolph, and he did call Klaus. Klaus came. He liked what he heard, and then we had the new Scorpions, and the rest is history.
Now, with the Scorpions back in those days, you guys were playing very complex music.
No, we
Was
were
that
not.
intentional, or were you
No,
guys kind of just?
we were not playing complex
You don't
music.
think it was complex?
That's not what I think. No,
Okay,
I don't think so. I have to really disagree. I thought it was
okay.
extremely simple. My band Dawn Road, that was complex. We were doing prog rock, progressive rock. I thought Scorpions was very, very simple rock, very melodic. I don't know. Maybe your definition of complex is different from mine. You know,
Yeah, not in terms of
it
the I
wasn't
guess the
mainstream.
musicality. I'm saying the feeling
It
of
was
it was
colorful.
yeah, colorful,
It was
more colorful in
colorful.
the later era.
Yeah, that was yes, 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 yeah. I give you that.
Yeah. So with the Scorpions, how was it like, playing with Rudolph? You guys had such a great connection. How was that? Did that kind of develop over time, or you guys kind of
Well, we
naturally clicked
didn't
right
need
away?
much development. We clicked from the beginning. We were like brothers in arms. We're different people, personalities, but we really gelled on also on a spiritual and philosophical level. Rudolph's a deep thinker, and we when we did these hour-long drives on the highways in Europe, but that's what we did back then. First we had a bus, and then we were driving forever, to the shows. We always had these really deep talks, you know, and particularly Rudolph and I, we were on the very similar wavelengths there. So we were just a really good team, and there was friendship, and it's still like that. When I meet Rudolph, it's it's like complete family. These things don't go away. Same with Klaus. It never goes away when you've established a bond like that.
Now, talk to me about the impact that Tokyo Tapes had in that era, for the rock music scene,
Well, it
doing
had
that.
much more of an impact than I knew, because once I left the band, I kind of put all that behind me. For the first couple of years, I was focused on my own thing, Electric Sun, and I really didn't take any notice of what was happening. I didn't even realize they were that successful in the States afterwards, because I didn't listen to the radio or something like that. But from the fans back then, we used to get letters. I got like hundreds, thousands of letters back then. And they said, yeah, they said, wow, Tokyo Tapes. And then also the album was really the first real big seller for the Scorpions worldwide. You know, you could certainly tell from the royalty checks that came in, something was happening. I mean, we had already had gold albums with Virgin Killer and so, but a couple of years before. But Tokyo Tapes was the first worldwide kind of thing with the band. And to this day, apparently people see it as one of the classic live albums. And that's nice.
Is it 100% live, that album?
Yes, I mean, as far as I can remember, because I didn't do any guitar overdubs, it was all 100%. I wasn't there for the mix of the album, so I'm not totally sure if there were certain things fixed. I know the audience clapping was augmented because it was forgotten to record the audience. And the Japanese audience is always so quiet and still. So I think they thought we need a little bit more of that. So they took Frat Goes Alive as a loop. That's what I remember. And I told that story before. But I think that's the only thing of Tokyo Tapes that isn't real, you know. Um, but the audience we played to really nice audiences. They did clap, but it wasn't recorded properly. And then that album would have sounded a little bit strange. So, anyways.
And then, of course, like you've mentioned before, the decision of you to leave the Scorpions was already kind of decided when you recorded that.
Yeah, already
Talk to
a
me
year before. A year
year
before.
before.
I think, it was an easy decision for me because I'd been in the band for 5 years and I really loved being there. I learned an awful lot. It was like my apprenticeship in the business and all that. But there came a time, and it was around 1977, where the year that I wrote Sales of Sharon and all these pieces, I started writing completely different material. It just came to me, like a piece called Earthquake, which was a 10-minute semi-symphonic extravaganza, guitar fireworks,
That's
no.
great. I love it. Yeah.
I knew I couldn't bring that to the Scorpions table. It would have completely been out of place, and I came up with more and more of that stuff. Then I knew that I had to leave because I wanted to be free to do that, you know. And while I had all the freedom in the Scorpions, and I brought Earthquakes, they probably would have actually done it, because they were super cool, Rudolph and Klaus. But I knew it was the wrong thing to do. And the right thing was for me to leave and just go on my own path. That's what happened. And it was the right decision, you know. Yeah, I would have been swimming in money had I stayed, but I wouldn't have been very happy because to me, the most important thing my artistic life is that I have the freedom to create what I want. And you can't do that once you're in a super successful band because pe- people expect a certain something, and that's what it is, you know. And with the Scorpions, they expect hit songs, you know, and my songs, I hardly ever repeat choruses and phrases. You can't do that when you're going to write a hit song. You need to repeat, you know. I get bored very easily. So, you know, it's not for me.
Now, with the Electric Sun project, did you guys ever tour that in North America back in those
Yeah,
days?
we did one big North American tour in '85, just
Okay.
before the end of Electric Sun. And we played to full houses, you know, but it was like 1,500 people in Los Angeles, that kind of thing, you know, or
Yeah.
with Brooklyn, Lamour. Um, and it was successful, but back then, you know, there were a lot of issues, and I was getting tired of the rock format back then. I wanted to do classical, and then I gradually phased out that um, project, and I spent time writing symphonic music. You know, now I'm doing it all. I'm kind of yeah walking between all that, which is fine. But back then I couldn't have done that. I had to make these choices. You know. So,
So let's talk about currently the tour you're on now. You're doing a TED talk. You're talking about your book and playing music. How did that idea kind of come about?
well, before COVID struck, I was embarked on a 70-date North American tour. And we started the tour in Europe. We played 13 concerts. And then there were lockdowns. So, and then 3 years without touring. And that was basically a solo tour um, where I did, yeah, 3 hour show with an intermission. We did, as I said, 13 shows. I had written a lot of new music for it. Um, I played some piano, I played classical guitar. Also, it was like an evening with Uli Jon Roth, you know, and it worked very well in Europe. So I thought when we're coming back to the States after all this time, I'll bring that because a lot of people had already bought tickets for it. But I wanted to also bring the band. So I thought, why not do both? Do the first half of the evening like this, the second like this. And I've been known to do 3 hour shows anyway. So to me, it's not a big deal. And the audience seems to like it, you know, because we're bringing a lot of variety. It's not really a boring program, I hope, you know. So that's how that came about. Yeah.
Now with this tour, you're as you've done in previous tours, you're playing all the old Scorpions classics that the fans really enjoy
We're
doing. Do you
playing
still
quite a
enjoy doing
few of
those?
them in the second half because we recorded a DVD called Tokyo Tapes Revisited some time ago, and we're playing a lot of that program. Yeah,
And do you still enjoy doing
because
those
I know
songs?
there's a large base of people in America who want to hear that stuff. You know, and if I don't play it, nobody will. You know.
There we go. Last question here. What advice would you have for young guitarists? Like, what advice would you give to a young guitarist out there?
Um, that question is too
Too broad.
yes, you know, because I would give different advice to different people. Um, a sweeping bit of advice like that is not really my strong point. You know, it needs to be more specific. There's a lot of talent out there, young talent. Um, everybody needs to find their own way. Nowadays, it's a completely different scene with YouTube, etc. When we started, we didn't have any of that. Ours was more live driven. We got better by playing concerts. Nowadays, the kids don't really have that option so much. their concerts as is my latest YouTube video. Look, see what I can do, you know. Sometimes I find that it took me some time to really um, uh, appreciate what they're trying to do, but that's the only way they can do it nowadays, you know. And some are quite good at it. So I've watched some people on YouTube. Sometimes it gets a little samey, you know. But yeah, I don't have general advice like that. The music business has changed so much. Most people don't seem to know what's going on, and that includes me. It's really difficult because everything is internet driven now. And of course, we still have the live shows. I understand that side of it. I know how to make an album, but you know, the TikTok world and all that is rather alien to me. You know, my daughter is a successful influencer on TikTok. I watched it, and the people are loving it. You know, I watched it. I just couldn't understand it. It's like so fast. You know, on TikTok is everything like 10 seconds, 15 seconds. You know, and me, it takes me half an hour to get a guitar in tune. You know, so I'm not TikTok material. You know.
Well, Yuli,
But
I
some
want to
of
thank
the
you
young
for
kids who play the guitar, they're perfectly happy to do these things, you know, and that's it. So I'm not qualified to give them advice. I can give advice about music, about inspiration, about things like that, you know, but not the other stuff. And that seems to be very important nowadays.
well, Yuli, I want to thank you for coming on the show today. It was great talking to a
Um,
legendary guitarist. I'm going to see you tonight, so looking forward to it.
well, thank you. Bye bye.
Yeah, thanks for watching, everybody. Appreciate it. Have a good day, everybody.
Having me.